Hello, my dear folks. Welcome to the show, Jack Chow with East West under G&E TV, the huge umbrella of the all cross-line multimedia. I feel proud to do the job because I get the chance to see all kinds of people. It's a privilege to me, and I take it as a classroom day by day. That's why I keep growing. Well, anyway, but wait, nothing but wait. Anyway, so today we're talking about a moral issue, call it a family issue, call it a parent issue, call it a social issue, if you will, right? It is regarding the Adrian Peterson child beating case. So, and has a big argument from left or right, from bottom down to bottom up, whatever. Talking about this whole thing, there is even argument about it with a strong defense. Such as from Charles Barkley, such as from, well, anyway, you name it. Today, joining me in the discussion is my good friend, a person that I admire for her being so beautiful, yet I hate to call her just a beauty because that is so minimize her to only certain area, yet on top of that, she is kind of a beautiful from the inside and out. She has the ability of handling cases, and she has the love. She has this the kind of devotion to her clients, and I would call her a successful winning attorney rather than attorney itself.
Thank you.
Well, you might have losing ones, but right? Anyway, they charge you the same. They charge you the same, right? Anyway, so, and also importantly, if not the most importantly, that she is a mother herself.
Yes.
Right. A mother of two gorgeous girls. I loved every single one of them. There was one time they were on the show, I was so amazed. Right now, so seriously, officially, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Sure. Kathy Howe is a big name. Southern California, whenever legal term is mentioned, you automatically think about Kathy Howe. Whenever there is a community event, as a lover to the community, she is always there. She is a big support to all the positive things I call upbeat of life. For that, I give you 2 thumbs up.
Thank you so much. Good. Yes.
Today's issue might be a headache, even challenging to a mother as well as attorney. Yes. On one hand, you have to act like a mother, talk like a mother, feel like a mother. Right. On the other, you have to pull up a long face, say this is the law.
Right.
Right. Yes. So it's kind of
balancing.
I know there's kind of like a challenge to you. So what is, I always ask, your overall comment or impression or a statement, if you would please, about the case, the Andrew Peterson beating case?
That particular incident, I mean, I call that isolated incident. It's not, an incident that happens every day anymore. In today's society. It doesn't matter it is in China or here in the United States. I think when we grow up, we've seen a lot of beatings from parents. We call that incorporeal punishment.
Okay.
So from parents and disciplined with the force by the parents.
All right.
I think growing up in China in that environment, it's common. Is one way of teaching the children. But I always believed that everything has a limit. I mean, parents have the authority, parents have the love and the discipline for the kids. But come to the point when you cause bodily injury or emotional injury to the children, and I don't think that's acceptable. So same as this, when you use a weapon, I call that whipping. Weapon.
That's almost a deadly weapon.
Yeah, it's a way too much for discipline from parents. Okay. For anyone, for any adults, or for even between the kids and between the adults, if you use a weapon, put the force on the other person, it's battery.
Forget the fact that Mr. Peterson is a star or a one on the street picking up beer cans, right? Just a human.
Right.
Just a human, be it a mother, be he a father or mother. Do you think laws are broken?
Oh, I think definitely. We actually in the United States, I don't know if you know that I was a social worker for many years, and I was in the social services, and I'm very familiar with the social system of the United States, and especially in Southern California area, in a diverse society. Yes, any person physically abuse another person is a crime.
It's a crime.
It is a crime.
It's a crime.
So not only physical beating or unlawful touching is a crime.
It's a crime.
Any unlawful touching of another person's body is a crime. So you can call that battery, or even assault. So in this case, absolutely. I mean, there are many, many instances going back to my previous comments about growing up, how parents discipline their kids. And it was very common that parents will put some, stronger method of
a little aggressive,
spanking on the butt, and that kind of thing. I think that's a normal parenting.
Just not even spank, just a pat on the butt, say go get it.
Right, and that is normal. I think that's normal parenting, but with anger and put force and use a weapon, and I think it's a crime. I think it come to the point it's child abuse.
Thanks to our hero, Judy Chu, Congresswoman Judy Chu, Honorable Judy Chu, she was one of the strongest voices of enhancing the domestic violence laws.
Right.
And once I recall at a press conference, I asked her about the definition of domestic violence. And to her definition, which is a law definition now, even verbal abuse is domestic violence.
Not only verbal, well, we call, when I was in adult protective services or children protective services, and the law is very strict. I mean, you cannot abuse one person physically, verbally, emotionally,
and financially.
Of course, financially. So, physical abuse, financial abuse, mental abuse, verbal abuse, and these are all different forms of abuse. Just give you an example how we, as a society, and how the society is overseeing the parenting or domestic issues. Of course, domestic violence mostly are referring to husband and wife, boyfriend and boyfriend, girlfriend, and children to the adults, parent or parent to the children, but mostly, parents between parents or girlfriend, boyfriend, and we call that domestic violence. But for children and for child abuse, and the rule is, if anyone, including attorneys, including nurses, including school teachers, including doctors, law enforcement, if they see any form of child or elder abuse, any forms of that, they are mandated to report. In other words, if they fail to report, they're in violation of law.
Oh, yes, they're a violation. All right.
Correct.
Okay, good.
So that's how strict our society is protecting those weak.
That brings the awareness of that kind of crime, which normally being neglected.
Well, neglect is one form of abuse.
I see.
Neglect can be, for children mostly, is neglect by others.
I see.
Basically neglect by parents, and the parents are not putting attention to the children, and let the children eat rotten food. Let the children do whatever they want, and that's one form of neglect. For elderly, mostly, you also have to include self-neglect too. Self-neglect is not a crime, but it's calling for help, for assistance. So our society actually has a very strict rule to protect children and the elderly. And in this case, definitely, if anyone in that umbrella of mandated reporters, and it's reportable incident.
Thank you very much for a very complete statement about the law and from the law side. And yet, of course, that is very convincing because we are a civilized society.
Yes.
We were once in the jungle, but now we're out of the jungle. We are already there as a civil society. We call a country. or a
Yes.
state, right?
Yes.
With the laws governed by freedom, governed by equality and everything. That is for sure. But my question still remains. With the laws written so black and white, with theories written so clearly, so obvious, right, so blatant, why would there still such a big argument, such as this one, the comments from the defense from
Why so decisive?
Charles
Divisive.
Barkley.
Yeah.
So shall we take a moment when we come back? Can we stretch ourselves
Sure.
from the legal point of view,
To
as
social.
versus the fact about why something that solid still
Right.
faces a challenge? If this, come on, it's okay. That kind of something is wrong,
Sure.
or where it is wrong. Can we please?
Absolutely.
All right, thank you very much. With me today is my good friend Kathy Howell, an attorney at law of Southern California. Yet you call her a teacher, a mentor, and a helper, and sometimes you do volunteers, right?
I do volunteers.
and a volunteer, and of course a sports activist for all the time. Anyway, I'll do bit by bit to add up to see what exactly a character is. So let's take a moment out. When we come back, we'll find out from the societal. So stay with us.